Had lots of tweets and emails, and thanks for those from Sunderland fans. Martin McGill, first of all, thank you so much for making us a top 10 team. We appreciate all the work you did. Do you regret how it ended?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we lost to Wigan at home, and as I said to you, we had an average start, you know. But after 11 games, we lost in the last minute to Wigan, and unfortunately, the crowd then, you know, paid for me blood on that occasion. But there's all these headlines has been written. I was driven out by hate and all the rest of it. The good thing about TV or radio, you can actually say it. You know, that wasn't the case at all. I had a bad start, and unfortunately, a minority of the crowd turned. But the disappointing thing for me was always that I knew that the quality of players that we'd brought in, just give them a bit of time, and they'll be perfectly okay. And for me, the disappointing thing was I wasn't given that time.
This is Graham. He said when you came in, lots of people pointed to the fact that it seems that from these headlines, and there was that one headline which was the Newcastle Chronicle that I think was
Newcastle paper, of course.
Newcastle paper saying that you've been driven out by fan hatred. In terms of, do you feel like you took on the fans in the end, and was that one of the problems? And you also mentioned that they had unrealistic expectations.
I didn't take them on the fact. There's a big expectation at Sunderland. They've got a big crowd, huge crowd everywhere. Even yesterday's 39,000 there, something like that. They've got a wonderful crowd, but there's a huge anticipation of where they want to be, you know, and it's not easy to just go and get a top 10 team like, you know, overnight. And then you need big resources to go and compete if you want to compete in the real top end of the division. And with me, the disappointment was, I always judge people by, even though I'm a defender, your team by the strikers you have. And, you know, 6 months before I got the sack, we had Darren Bent, Danny Welbeck, Fraser Campbell, Sessegnon coming through, you know, and Asamoah Gyan was the big disappointment for me. You know, and all of a sudden I had them four. Within 6 months, all of them had gone for one reason or another. And that was difficult to try and replace, because arguably them four are the best four Sunderland strikers I've had for a long, long time.
Did you do everything you could to keep Asamoah Gyan?
He was convinced that he wanted to go, and I could, you know, he'd just been in the World Cup and been voted one of the best players in the World Cup. You know, when we signed him, he played against England at Wembley, scored a wonderful goal. Everybody talking around him around the world, and unfortunately, he gets his head turned by wanting to go and play in Dubai. And I couldn't understand his mentality to say to him, but when a player's adamant that they want to go for, you know, for financial gain, then you just got to let them go. And I mean, he's still Sunderland's player. The daft thing is, he's still Sunderland's player. It was a loan deal, but the numbers and the money involved was unbelievable. So in the end, I decided to let him go.
In terms of their expectations, because of course they'll all point to the fact that the results weren't great at the point when eventually you went. Martin O'Neill's come in with the same group of players and turned it around, and they'll say, look, we're actually achieving
well, I can understand.
What we were
Listen, Martin is a top class manager, and I rang him and to say if anybody's going to replace me, then I'm delighted it was him, you know. And whereas he's done well is at home, you know, he's turned around the home form, and that's what you need. You need your team to be playing well at home. And unfortunately, though, you know, as I said to you, you know, we had 11 games, and when you're away from it, you analyse it. The top six were in there as well. We had played Man City, we'd played, you know, Liverpool's and your top teams in there as well. So the results didn't go great. Martin has come in and done a wonderful job, but I always knew that the squad I'd put together would be okay, because they're real, genuine good players, and given that bit of time, I was convinced that they would be all right.
Once Quinny was removed as chairman, Niall Quinn, did you fear that the writing could be on the wall?
I didn't fear it at all. I think what did me was ultimately his results, Cammy. You know, we had a poor start, and I never recovered, as I said, from the Newcastle game, which was the second game in. You know, it was the second game of the season. We lost it, even though the first game we played against Liverpool did well, you know, and got a good result there. I never recovered, and I never got a couple of results back to back. I think we beat Stoke 4-0, but I couldn't, unfortunately, get a result when I needed it at home to appease the home supporters, which unfortunately in the end went a bit sour.